a surname in tribal and also in regional. Okay. So people immediately hear a name and class you either by tribe or by region. And people have to be careful with that. I remember a classic was when our former chief of staff, Honorable Prosper Bani, his name first came up. Because people were not aware of who he was, they immediately thought he was a northerner because of the name Bani. But he's from the Volta region.
First time. Honestly, I also thought this from the north.
So he's not from the north. He's a full Voltarian. And at the time, when I say Volta, because you have Volta in OT now, but still Volta. So it is important that these dichotomies are actually, or issues are
and did you identify that as a challenge in the Ghana Armed Forces when you were the deputy minister?
Because we understood that these mistakes were being made, and therefore you just don't jump into it and say, because this person's name is this. You had to now look at it holistically and understand whether these assertions were true or not. And they were not as bad as we thought.
Oh, okay.
So there was a more balanced view as to where and who people where.
So the outcome of that investigation was positive as far as the Ghana Armed Forces.
Yes, but there were some issues that had to be dealt with, and were.
Did you deal with that?
Yes. I mean, in so far as you could not, we had no power to deal with positive discrimination. So if you are recruiting and there is no real power to do positive discrimination, you take the best of who, the best person gets the job. Okay. Whereas, and that's the same thing we have with gender at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Yesterday when we posted your artwork, I mean your flyer, I received a few WhatsApp messages and few Facebook comments, and I know this issue, and for the benefit of doubt, so for those who are first-time listeners and viewers, I want you to clear this for me. Did you ever apply for a British passport?
I have never applied.
Okay.
And never held a British or any other country's citizenship. And I've been to 2 vetting committees of Parliament. When I was going for Deputy Minister of Defense and when I was going for Minister of Health. At the last one, I gave a simple solution to the then minority leader, who is the majority leader now, Chairman Sabosu. I said, why are people asking this question when the simplest thing to do is to write to the British High Commission? This man is going to be a minister. Has he ever applied for or what? They will give you an answer within 1 week. And by phone, less. They'll just punch your name in the computer and they'll know. So please do so. And he promised that he would write to the British High Commission. I said to him, please, when you do so, the same way I'm being questioned publicly, bring the answer publicly for Ghanaians also to know the answer so that they stop asking this question. So I think the best person to ask that question now should be Chairman Sabosu, so that he can claim my name for me, because he was going to write on behalf of the minority at the time. I have never been. I've always been.
I mean, there are several platforms that I am on, and then yesterday it was a huge debate on the platform that you were British national.
Let me give you an example of that rumor. For 3 months in the UK, somebody was out there saying, I'm a British passport holder, British passport holder. So when I went to the UK, I went on the radio program. And I didn't know I was being ambushed. So when I got there, first question is, oh, are you not? And they brought the person online, on air, that, yes, I know, I've seen you with a British passport. I said, me? British passport? He said, yes. I said, where did you see me with a British passport? He said, you were in duty free. I said, duty free? Yes. And where did you see me? He said, oh, I saw you produce your passport. I said, did I give you the passport for you to? He said, no, but it was a red passport. I said, red passport. So you saw me produce a red passport, and that is why I have a British passport. He said, yes, British passport is red. So I said, what is the color of Ghana diplomatic passport? Silence. I said, what is the color of Ghana's diplomatic passport? It is red.
Yes.
So for 3 months, everybody in the UK knew that I was a British passport holder because I had a red passport.
Forgetting that, I mean, the diplomatic
and I was holding a Ghana diplomatic passport. So there has never been any real basis for the accusation, but that's the nature of politics. They say if you want to know where your great-grandfather was buried, enter politics.
Somebody in there will be able to tell you.
And by the time you have corrected it, so look, it's never true. It's based on somebody seeing a red passport. And because of the nature of the job I held as a lawyer in London, people felt I could not have held that job because of the position I had risen to. You will notice that you said acting district chief crown prosecutor. If I had gone for the district crown prosecutor job, then I would have had to go for a British passport. So I never did. I had to bypass promotion 3 times.
So you don't...
Because I knew where I was going.
Okay.
I had a vision of where my political career was going. And therefore, I wouldn't cross that level. Because if I crossed, they would put me under pressure to now have a British passport or citizenship. So I never did. And that was because of the advice of my father, who happened to also be a politician. We just said it in jest. It was one day in 93. He died in 94. And I kept saying, oh, you one day I'm going to be a politician. He said, but you want to be a politician, but you are soon going to be eligible for a British passport. And this is the constitution. You can't do. But if you want to, then don't come into the politics. And that was the end of the conversation.
Did you become a minister before Sharia Ete?
No. I was the last of the 7.
You were the last of the 7?
Yeah. It started with Sipayanki.
Okay, so you were the last?
Yes.
What do you know about the medical stores thing?
When I came, the medical stores had already occurred. Okay. But I came and met it, and we had to investigate it. We investigated it, and the police came out with a report about various suspects and issues. One of the things that was crucial in that investigation was they knew who the suspect they required for was, who was felt to have been the main perpetrator. And they did a report and sent a report to the Attorney General's office for possible prosecution. The Attorney General felt that there wasn't enough evidence or sufficient interrogation of certain parties. So it sent back a report back to the CID or National Security to carry out further investigation. And that was the end of, as far as I can take it, because it had left the hands of the ministry itself. It was now in the domain of the CID and the Attorney General's office.
How do you feel as a former Minister of State in charge of health, the central medical stores where all our medications were kept, got bent until today? No prosecution, no arrest, no nothing. How do you feel as a former minister?
I feel that it is not unique. I feel that over the years, one of the greatest banes for Ghana as a country is its inability to deal with sanctions. If people believe that they can get away with any and everything, there is no incentive not to do the wrong thing. Because you continue to do the wrong thing,
you go scot-free.
You will be able to find a way to go scot-free. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges as a country we have. And partially it has to also do with political will. But sometimes it's also, even if you have the political will and the institutions that are in charge are not willing to go the extra mile, it's very difficult to come from your political position unless you start getting rid of people in that position. Central medical stores, there was no real reason why prosecution should not have taken place. But with the kind of information that was before the Attorney General Department, you couldn't run a prosecution. You needed to get more information. Therefore, it was in the hands of the investigative bodies to put together a docket worth prosecuting. And that was lacking.
Yourself as a minister then, did you experience any impediment in your quest to find solutions and possible ways as a lawyer for the prosecution of those involved? I mean, the 12 people who were later arrested.
The one thing you quickly learn in political position is that you take the brunt of things, but actually you are not responsible for a lot of things. A lot of things are in the domain of others who you must rely on to give you that information to do what is right. So if there are shortcomings in those people, your ability to hire and fire is also limited up to a point. And that in itself creates difficulties. But once again, I say that if you have a good look at our civil service structure, we have very, very competent public and civil servants in our domain. You just have to be able to push them a little bit harder to get the right thing done. And if you do get it done, it can be done. But as I said, you must ask and you must push and you must be at it. So it's not for lack of competence, but it's for lack of an ability to get things done, or people have all kinds of reasons why things are not done. It's unfortunate, but it's one area that we had hoped that Nana Addo, with his history and whatnot, would come and sort out. Unfortunately, we've all been let down badly.
Meaning that we can do anything about the central
at this
medical
stage,
stores thing?
No, well, the central medical stores, we had a program in place to rebuild. Rebuilding was going to look at we were looking at two things. One was to do with supply management chain or supply chain management systems, and whether we needed a central medical stores the size of what we had. Part of the reason why the devastation was huge was all the drugs were in one place in that central. But a lot of the drugs that were there should have been in the regional offices or warehouses, stores. So we were looking at a system whereby things didn't stay too long in the central medical stores. They would move to the region and then even to the hospitals where they were required. But there would be a supply chain inventory or management of the system. And that would have meant that if one goes down, it's not all that has gone down. And that was the issue.
All right, now let's leave the past and come to present issues. We've been battling with issues of mining over the years, and things we've read indicate that BC 6,000 mining and everything here and there. Now we are confronted with the biggest menace, Galamsey. Can we ever get over this?
Yes.
How? With the current report from Professor Frimpong Boateng and everything.
Oh, Professor Frimpong Boateng's report is saying there's no political will. Summary. The political will to deal with it was lost. Now,
so it's a hearsay, boss.
I'm saying what his report said. Even if it's hearsay, that's what it's saying.
And the president says it's a hearsay.
Okay. Hearsay from the Home Minister? Possibly. Like we are waiting. We are clear in our mind that things we thought were rumors are now being brought to the fore. So we had heard the rumor that, people were doing Galamsey in the backyard of the president's home. It was a rumor. We thought it was propaganda, social media type issue. Now it's in the minister's report.
But we went to Chebi, took videos last year and showed it on TV.
So there we have it. You see, so it may, what is hearsay? Which part of the report is hearsay? There are some factual issues in the report, which you have just confirmed. So how was the person who did that, how were they treated? Was they given a mining license to mine at the backyard of the president's house? So if there was no license, the person who was there doing that, what has happened to him? Impunity. So I am clear in my mind that political will is what lack of it is what Professor Frimpong is saying. And if you really want to deal with it, you must prosecute some people. And that is why we are asking for an inquiry. That should be at the level of Parliament. And also the special prosecutor should get involved. Because the contents of that report are extremely, extremely damning and damaging. The importance of it, even if Charles Bishop is now telling us that it was a figure of speech, when the president said, I put my presidency on the line, all of a sudden it's a figure of speech. But even if it's a figure of speech, it tells you the importance placed on it at the time. So what the report is telling us that actually there was no real political will to deal with mining. Now, you make a very important point, which is that mining has existed, as President Kufuor would say, on other matters, since the time of Adam. So it is also with prostitution and other factors. The question is the degree to which you allow it to go. To eradicate it completely forever and ever, it's not like malaria or an illness. It's a human trend. So you have to have things in place to slow it down and stop it. It's there. What has changed the dynamics now? One machine is creating problem for us. It's called an excavator. Because what people used to use, shovel, stones, and stuff, to go and do, now this machine comes, removes trees, removes the vegetation, digs, and they bring in water at the side, and and using cyanide and all kinds of things. So they focused on one area, which was good, which was the excavators. And then the political will to deal with that fell apart. So if you don't have the political will, you are never going to succeed because it is money.
Well, we've had these problems over the years through all the administrations. If you check J.J. Rawlings' time in 1990, father in the Ashanti
there were no
region,
excavators.
I mean, you come to J. Kofor, Professor Mills, John Dramani Mahama, now it's Nanado's turn. Galamsey.
Why is it important?
Are you politicians benefiting from it?
Some politicians are benefiting.
Who are those some?
Captain, I don't have names. I haven't investigated anybody.
But you know some.
But we know that politicians are. And the rot to which it has deteriorated. Big names are involved in it, so it cannot work. And we are sweeping everything on them. And why is it important? Why is it gone so bad? Because now it is even costing us because our water bodies and our environment is completely lost. I mean, when you look at the quality of water, it means that technically there's no fish or anything in that water. That is worth thinking about. Your vegetation, personally, there are certain regions, without saying that when I get there, I won't go to a chop bar and eat again. Because the criteria that they have put there, I know what water it was drinking, I know what it is, and I know what health hazards I'm putting in my body. I will not. Because what vegetation was that animal eating before it's on my plate? The fish that you have taken, which river did it come from? And so once I know that I enter into a certain catchment area, I don't go to what we used to love. Part of the trips if you go abroad, I've gone to the local chop bar, this place is specific for I don't do it again. Certain areas I'll carry my food and go. Don't go and bring me, because I don't know where the animal came from. We are getting sick. One of the biggest problems for us as a people is non-communicable diseases. The cancers, the kidney, the liver, all those things. So the communicable ones which this government has also failed us on in terms of vaccines that would stop them and whatnot. We know about them. But now we have a dual problem and it's increasing. So every day you turn around, somebody has got a kidney problem. The number of people who need dialysis, the number of people who have got hypertension, the number of people who have got issues to do with cancer, increasing. And it's because of the food that we are eating. You are what you eat. So if you think that in the old days when you go to the village, that's when you know that you are eating healthy. Because the tomatoes has come fresh. Everything, there's no tin, everything is fresh. Your green is there, everything.
That's right.
Now you cannot rely on that in the village anymore.
Sure.
Actually, the village is now more dangerous
than the
certain areas. It's now more dangerous than certain areas. So we have a big problem. And the government is actually failed us. Let me be because it's a question of degree, where we have allowed it to get to. And that's not to say that it didn't happen in the past.
It doesn't look like you politicians are willing, actually, to deal with this menace.
You know,
you come, you go, you talk about it, you politicize it, make it look that good, that when I am in power, I will do A, B, C, D, Z to eradicate this menace. But when power is handed over to you, we face the same issue.
If you do not deal with sanction, look, a whole military officer is killed because of Galamsey, and we are where we are. we as a people and the political will of power must be clearly demonstrated that we will not tolerate. Now, it goes, to be fair, there are two issues. People need a source of income. Why I don't agree with what is happening now is that it is, if you are destroying a cocoa farm because of Galamsey, because cocoa will not bring you that amount of money that gold may bring you, then it's totally wrong. Because at the end of the day, you will still get money from cocoa. So it's a question of how greedy you want to be, because you think that gold is, because it's not legal what you're doing. But if in those areas where there is no source of income, they haven't got the farming capability, or you have too many youth, then it becomes, so what as a government, one of the things the government always has to have at the back of its mind when you're talking of the Galamsey menace is alternative sources of income for the youth, because they are easily exploited, they easily jump into this, and even when there is no excavator, they will use them.
How different is your next government going to be? Are you going to create more jobs?
Well, that is why I say that not to identify the problem and understand what the issues are is not going to be able to, it's not rhetoric. Don't come and say, oh, we are going to get rid of Galamsey overnight. No. You must identify it, look at what programs have been put in place. But the most important thing is you must have the political will and you must apply sanctions.
Do you have it now, NDC, if you come back to power?
It's not going to be possible for any government to come into power now and continue Galamsey the way it's going. Our country will collapse. In fact, our country has collapsed, but it will get into the the doldrums. Because do we know how much money we are spending on chlorine and the stuff, other things to clean water? It's incredible. And the frightening news is that actually, maybe of the 16 regions that exist in Ghana, maybe 12 have gold. Gold is everywhere.
Exactly.
We are sitting on it. So one of the things that has created this is the price of gold. And because there's when there's no money in the system, or the economies are and there are problems with financial institutions and depressions and growth rates, where people hide or keep their money is in gold. So when everybody is looking for gold, the price of gold rockets. So at the moment, gold is very expensive and it's good money. So till such time that the economy settle around the world and gold finds its right level, which makes it not as attractive as other things, we also then have a global issue that we have to look at. So it's good for us when you are mining gold legitimately and you are selling it at this point. But when it's illegal, you do know that the amount of gold that is recorded abroad, it's not the amount of gold that is recorded in Ghana that comes from Ghana.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what happened in Dubai?
Even the revenue we are not getting. Even the revenue we are not getting. And then you have this scandal that has just come out from an Al Jazeera investigation.
Okay, tie in with that.
Yeah. When you look at that, then it tells you clearly that there are some government officials at the very high end who know about this and appear on the face of it, alleged to have been part of it. That's why we say we need a special prosecutor to get involved and tell us what exactly is happening. And Parliament can set up its own independent probe to tell us about this huge amount of gold racketeering for which Ghana appears to be a hub for what is going on. We are in a mess, Captain Smart. Any way you look at it, we are in a mess. And the task of an NDC government that is going to come into power in 2025, if you say it's enormous or it is huge, it's an understatement. It's an understatement. We have a big, we are starting from scratch. You have to let everybody understand the real difficulties. And I'm telling you that what we think is what we know is worse It's worse, but it will soon, you will start seeing it will start coming. Our financial position is even worse. So let's wait and see.
I heard you mention Parliament.
Yes.
What do you want them to do?
They must start an investigation. They can ask for a probe.
We thought a hung Parliament could do the trick for us. Nothing actually came out.
Well,
they were fighting, chewing papers, throwing tables, chairs, microphones, left, center, right, behaving like babies. I mean, now the opposition, we thought the NDC in Parliament could do the trick with the numbers. It's either clandestinely staging a walkout for the majority to take over, or they will go secret balloting and vote for the things they spoke against. I mean, it looks like, for me, I've lost confidence in Parliament anyway. I don't know.
Captain Smart, let me say this. Let me start from the half full glass.
Okay.
Not the half empty.
Okay.
The half full glass. A lot we would never have been aware of to the extent we are aware of it now is because of the hung Parliament.
The things we are aware of?
Yes.
But we know them already.
No.
So
a lot of things happen in Parliament where when you have a party that has the majority, it's talked about for 2 minutes and then they pass it. It never becomes a major issue in the public domain. Now everything is a major issue. Even when they pass it, it has gone through a rigmarole. I don't knock the hung Parliament immediately.
But it still stands the test of time. It still stands.
It
doesn't change anything.
We all have our disappointments, but we also have our happiness in certain areas. For the first time, a Parliament chose somebody from the minority to be Speaker. That is a major, major plus in our Parliament. For the first time, whereas before, when the people are in power, they bring any CI and it is passed. You have a situation in Parliament where Parliament has got involved in a CI and said, we have debated it, go back and look at it and bring it.
But it happens all the time.
No, it doesn't.
No, John J. Kufuor's time, you remember
CI?
The health insurance bill.
No, that is not a CI. You know, CIs only have to be laid. CIs don't have to be debated in that way. When you go to, you have to see as you lay it, and 28 days it comes to 21 days, it becomes the law. So what is happening with the CI with the EC is unique. So, and that is due to a hung Parliament.
But it is because it is going to favor the other side of the political world.
No.
You are debating it because if you look at the precepts in the things that were tabled by the Electoral Commission, you think that using only the Ghana card as a means to register to get a voter's ID card to go to vote.
You're missing the point I'm making.
Will not favor the NDC.
The point I'm making is, in the past, it would never have gotten to this stage. It would have been laid already. If you had a majority party in Parliament, without this, it would have been laid already. That is the point I'm making. The scrutiny of the issues should be given some credit. I'm not happy with some of the outcomes. I'm not happy with the way certain of MPs have behaved because of what they call friendship or knowledge. I'm not happy. But I will also not take away from some of their positives. And I think that the fact that everything is scrutinized, look, they've passed the e-levy, didn't they? Was it something that they went one? It has been, they fought before they got it through.
And strategically
and now the whole thing has, yes, the manner in which it was got or not got, or the politics behind it, begs questions. Some of the decisions that are made by the judiciary on certain points, we are all bound by the judicial decisions. But some of us are not totally convinced by the arguments. But we accept that in law, you have two sides. So if people have gone this way, and that's the ultimate decision, we go with it. So you can always criticize and knock things. I'm with you 100%, Captain, when you say that they have been a disappointment in many areas.
Especially approving the ministers.
Let's not even, I won't even go there.
Why?
But because
why don't you want to go there?
I'm so I'm devastated.
Ah.
Yes. I don't understand how that was done. You see, you can understand when the difference is 1 or 2. 20, 30, 40 ministers have changed. There's no explanation. There's no explanation. That one I'm clear in my mind.
Very clear.
Oh, I'm clear. Nobody, and that's my opinion. Nobody's going to change that opinion of mine. It was not right. Because look, in one of them, there's somebody that we are saying to the whole world was with the security agencies when certain things happen to our people. We are saying it loud and clear. On what basis does he end up with the most votes? But we have put it aside. We have to
Why putting it aside?
Yeah, because we have to.
You are not investigating your own people.
Who says we are not?
Because maybe when you were in power, you do same.
No. If you don't say that, we are not investigating our people. Because you don't know what we are doing.
Okay. So you are investigating.
We are looking at it.
You are investigating.
And we are looking at it. Don't say we are not. We are looking at it.
Okay.
How we deal with it is different.
How soon are you going to come out?
No, but we don't have to come and tell you anything.
No, I mean, but we should know. They are not MPs for the NDC. They are MPs for Ghana.
But you are telling us why. Is Parliament investigating?
No, no, that's part of their procedures. I mean, they want people to be part.
So we as a political party are investigating. Why are we going to investigate the MPP?
No, you investigate.
Ours.
But
ours.
The opposition is seen to be on the side of the citizenry, right?
Really?
By saying that. No, that's what we think, because you speak our minds. When you go to any other country, the opposition is always 80% on the side of the ordinary citizen. One, by singing our songs, dancing our songs, because we see that you don't have the money, so you eat the whole gobe. As we eat, you do the things that we do.
Well, I hear you.
And then apart from that, COVID, government will use that as an excuse. Russia-Ukraine war as an excuse. A lot of ministers reduced the number of ministers. The NDC had several press conferences. I mean, actually lambasted government.
Yes.
Then you go out there and approve the ministers.
Yeah.
It's got to do with us. So if you are investigating, we should know the outcome.
We've heard your appeal.
Thank you.
That's where I've left it.
Alex.
We've heard your appeal.
A nice way.
Yes, it's over.
You've heard the appeal.
I've heard the appeal.
Okay. They've just heard the appeal.
Because, part of that argument is very interesting. But they are also saying that people in the government side also even voted against. So you can't even tell who is who.
So they voted against and your people voted for.
That's why I asked you the immediate question, that who is investigating the government side? You see, it's in the domain of each political party. But anyway, I hear you. We've heard your appeal.
Okay. Anyway, the government side, they were in support.
Not all of them.
I mean, behind the scenes, not all of them.
And we have evidence with the speaker's position that it is also true that sometimes people on the other side do not agree with what the government is saying.
Anyway.
So where do you start and where do you stop? And we are doing our investigation to know, because the numbers were too huge. That's why. Yeah.
John Dramani Mahama, Dr. Komnado for Kojo Bonsu. Who do you support?
I don't support anyone publicly.
And you support them in your heart?
Everybody votes at elections. They must vote for somebody. So everybody has a choice. But publicly, I'm a referee. I'm part of the functional executive committee.
Oh, okay.
So I have no choice. I just want to make sure that the process and procedures are correct. And everybody on the face of it has a level playing field. And that's where, for me, it stops.
You hear some of your party executives declaring their support.
At what level?
I don't know if your party constitution frowns on that, but you hear constituency executives, regional executives, even some national party functionaries declaring open support.
It doesn't need, you see, I'm always of the view that when people are looking for a paper to say what is right and what is wrong, it's almost as if you were never born with a conscience. We know the rules of natural justice. This is a contest of people. If this is a contest of people and you have a position of a referee, why are you out there showing favoritism to one group or the other? No. You don't need this to be written in any constitution. You just don't do it. It's not done. You allow level playing field. So I will never go out and say, at this level when the election, I support this one, I support that. I'm on the functional executive committee. I cannot legislate for all my colleagues. But you will notice that the chairman and the general secretary of our party have never, anywhere, pointed in any direction of who they favor or who they don't favor. No. And as far as I'm concerned, the majority, if not all, of our national executives are the same. You always have a few people who are different, but that is not whether, and for me, it's not a question of whether it's written in the constitution or they're saying that you shouldn't. We have made it clear that it shouldn't be done. We cannot necessarily say, oh, regional executives or constituency executives should do same. No, because they are not actually the referees. They are not conducting the election in their various regions per se. It's anything, but we are the overall referees. So we should, at least at the national level, not...
But at the national level, I'm sure before Asidu was elected the chairman, he was the general secretary the day that you organize your delegates. Is it Congress or conference? Yes. The Greater Accra Regional Chairman was wearing a cap with the inscription JM.
But the JM was not in contest. No, you see, my view is very clear.
Okay.
Up until you go and file and pick papers, anybody can have a view because no nominations have been opened.
Okay, so
you can have a view.
You can weigh anything.
You can do anything. But once people file and pick forms, then everybody is bad, technically added.
Did you analyze all the statements that were made?
Oh, no, I'm not saying they were not breached. Captain Smart, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying people would have breached it. Okay. But I'm saying that me, sitting here, think it's wrong, and I also believe
Did you table anything at the functioning executive committee level?
It was, yes, and that is why you know that even in the national one, it was mentioned that if you remember, there was an issue with certain people accompanying people to go and file and whatnot. It was raised as an issue, and it was a message was sent out to the regions that people should not be overtly seen if you are in a certain position to be supporting one or the other.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, we also accept that it's a contest and people are allowed to make a choice. The strength of our argument was more with national officers because we are the ones who are actually conducting this affair. We don't necessarily extend it too strongly to the regional or the constituency level, even though it would have been appropriate for them to be.
In terms of managing our economy and then actually minimizing corruption and all, every government have had its fair share. But this time we all agree, even members of the NPP also do agree that we are in a very critical situation now. To the best of your knowledge, you've been a cabinet minister before. How did we get here?
When you are making decisions in government, I've always said that, and I'm repeating what I've always said, you make your decisions in 3 areas. No matter what the decision, it will fall into 3 areas. Personal interest, party interest, national interest. You would like to think that government is always making decisions in the national interest. I'm clear in my mind that almost every decision this government has made has been either for personal interest or for party interest. The national interest has always been a far fifth or sixth.
You mean they don't consider anything national?
For me, I don't see it. I really don't see it. So I'm not MPP, but I can say that to a certain extent, a number of decisions, even under Kufuor, were clearly nationalized interest of Ghana.
That's right.
I don't see it in this government. I don't. And I'm using the two because they are the same political parties.
Okay.
If we do, I use ours, it will be like, oh, NDC. No. I don't see it. And there are certain things, like I said, that are not written, but you adhere to because it is convention and it is just good etiquette, and there are some things you don't fight about. But I don't see everything. If they are in a little bit, they are going to court. Oh, we don't agree with a particular decision of this judge, you have gone to court. Why? Because the ability to go to court is there. What are the optics? How does it look? No, the thing is not right. It's not right. And the fact that you can use language and to change it to favor you is wrong. So I'm clear in my mind that this government has always makes decisions on personal and party.
Don't you think it's COVID-19 and then the Russia-Ukraine war which actually caused this? And maybe the Sudanese...
Maybe Ivory Coast didn't get COVID. Maybe Ivory Coast never got COVID, or Gambia, or even Togo. COVID didn't come. It only came to Ghana. Maybe the Russian-Ukraine war is targeted at only what we do with Russia or Ukraine in Ghana. Why? Are we an island? The rest of the world, depending on how you manage your economy, will show how much you suffer. We got help from people who had it worse than us. World Bank gave us how much? IMF gave us how much? A donor country for COVID. So, what is your excuse in the mess we are in now? And this idea of, oh, if we don't get IMF by this time, the economy will collapse. Let me make my position. The economy has collapsed. It's not a question of it will collapse. Listen, when a woman is 3 months pregnant, she's 6 months pregnant, she's 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, there's one common denominator. She's pregnant.
That's right.
So we have collapsed. The degree to which we are collapsed is what we should be talking about. Not that we are about to collapse or to get... No,
but the president says that if we feel...
We have collapsed too, Captain Smart. You know. How did it... Efite. It's finished.
Finished?
Yeah. Egble in Ewe. It's finished. It has spoiled. It's spoiled. So it is not a question of whether, from the moment we declared bankruptcy, that we can't pay, and that is when we had collapsed.
So you think the IMF money can't do anything?
No, it can.
Okay.
It's just going to tell us, so let us say that, the degree of it can get worse.
Hey.
Yes, it can get worse. So when you get to the worst, now the economy is now, no, it has finished. It's the degree. You know, maybe at the moment we are 6 months pregnant, but we don't want to get to it. So you need IMF and others to come and help. That is how I'm seeing the situation. So I don't even know why anybody in their right mind, what we are going to is talking about breaking the 8.
You don't want them to break the 8.
It's not a question of wanting them. What you are doing is damage limitation to ensure that your name doesn't go now as the worst government we ever had. Not that you are coming to win election. Win election from where? You shouldn't even be talking about it. You should be rather saying, look, this is where we are, this is what but you go and you see some commentators still talking about break. I'm saying to myself, really? But if you are not suffering, that's what it is. And many of them, in a certain small enclave, are comfortable. So, but their own people will teach them a lesson. Forget NDC.
When you say their own people, how do you mean?
Because it's not one party in this country that will ever win an election by a wide margin based on their own support. It is based on the support of others that you win by wide margins. Except you rig it.
Except you rig it?
That one there is not the right figures. After all, you know, it's not the person that votes that matters. It's the person that counts it.
So who is going to do the count and appear?
We are waiting.
They have
I don't talk much.
They have Reverend Ekuya Ofori-Boateng Saliman, then Ahmed Tijani, who the NDC came out with a press conference.
We are very clear. It's so wrong. When I'm telling you that it's not everything that is written on paper. This is a clear example. Why have you appointed such a person? It is clear that this person has got a bias. Very clear. Why have you appointed him?
But after your press conference, nothing again. What do
you want anybody to do?
So they will rig.
It's a lie.
Where?
Well, we are all, Captain Smart. There's a saying that we are all looking for something.
Okay.
Let's pray we don't find it. What? I haven't said anything. No. That's all I've said.
No, I'm not saying you said anything. We are all looking for this shit. And you are saying that let's pray we don't find it.
Yes.
But if you're able to identify where it is.
When you find it, then you will know.
Ube who then?
You kakra. Because all the people who should be shouting are quiet. All the people should be saying that this thing is totally, completely wrong. We are there. And they've all lost their voices. This is so blatant. It's untrue. It's untrue. How do you appoint somebody like that? And everybody is saying, suffering, Nyame yeah, yo.
Nyame
yo. Means you are looking for something.
You would not allow that.
You are looking for something. And I say, we are all praying. Let's not find it.
But when we find it,
then we all know
who will take it.
We all know that this is what we are looking for. Because I'm not sure anybody is sure that what we are looking for. You have been able to identify your glasses. Me, I don't know what we are looking for. But I know that we are looking for something.
You know that you are looking for something?
Yes. I know that all of us are looking for something. Because if we are not looking for that thing, we cannot be behaving the way we are. But whatever that thing is, I don't know. But when we find it, we all know,
this is the thing. But so when they ring, what would you do?
Maybe we'll just sit back like they say we've always done. We don't do anything. But what can we do? Me, as I'm sitting, what can I do? Captain Smart, you every day I see you are shouting, freedom of speech. Your time, they end this year, I arrest you. Somebody has arrested you. What has anybody done? You. But they are looking for something, no?
What are they looking for?
We don't know.
But when we find it.
Hey, Ghana, we are not serious. Hey, that's why we are suffering, no?
Oh, but you are a former minister, how can you suffer?
Yo.
Former deputy minister of defense, chief of staff.
Every man will say, hey, yo.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. You're also suffering. So what's the next line?
We have to move the MPP out of power first. We now have to tell Ghanaians what we thought we were coming to meet. It was at 70%, but actually we are at 120. Because we are not, even what they are telling us is not true. They have never been truthful about our position. They have never been. Under the line, under the this thing, under the this, under the that. IMF has brought a lot out. Still. So the thing which was supposed to be 80% or so of GDP was now 103. What is this? What is this? So I'm clear in my mind that, look, we don't need any upheaval or anything. We just need a change of government. We must all be patient in our suffering. But we should ensure that as we get to the election, Ghanaians must be clear in their minds that MPP government is not an option. It has got nothing to do with Russian, Ukraine, or COVID. It's pure mismanagement. And the time has come for a new government. The reason why various people are asking for various things is that there are still people who have done... Look, Captain Smart, 2016 election year, NDC government did not borrow 1 cedi from the Bank of Ghana.
The whole of 2016.
Is a national interest decision. If you wanted a clear example of a decision that is made in the national interest, not party interest, because even in that cabinet, I know people were saying, but what is this? We are going to election, you say you shouldn't borrow money. And it was shut down. On the basis of national interest, we didn't borrow. How much money have we borrowed from Bank of Ghana? As we are, me and you are here talking. How much money has Bank of... It's like they are printing money overnight. They are printing money. It has become like firewood. My brother, at least we had our faults. But a bad NDC government is better than this Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's President Nana government 20 times.
Oh, how?
I've just given you the example.
The bad
from zero.
NDC.
Now you have borrowed almost 50 or 60 billion from, I believe, from the Bank of Ghana.
Yeah.
And we are at zero. What number would you multiply 0 to get to 50 billion? which every time you multiply it, you get 0.
And maybe
so
when,
my 20
maybe
times
when
I'm
we
talking,
find what we are looking for.
When we find what we are looking for.
Maybe when we find what we are looking for.
What number? What number will you multiply by 0? Anytime you try to multiply, you come back to 0 because it was 0. We didn't take 1 cedi. I'm giving you a clear-cut example of national interest as opposed to party and it cost us an election. Because when people were putting money like confetti, we were deciding that no, because we had this program and we will not do that. Do you know the amount of insults Segbefia went under because of that? But today, he has been vindicated. Because now we are all suffering. Borrow. Why? In your house, if you sit here and you say, oh, I can borrow $200,000. And when I take that $200, what my whole mind is that I'm going to buy a Maybach, Mercedes-Benz. That's my mind. Your children haven't paid their school fees. Your wife is sick. Your mother and father are old, and you want to celebrate their 70th birthday. All these 4 things I've mentioned, none of them bring money. You didn't do any of them. You rather went and bought Maybach, which doesn't bring any money. And now you don't have money to buy petrol in the Maybach. So you are looking at the Mercedes-Benz in your house, and your child is sitting next to you because he can't go to school. And your wife has just died. You can't pay her funeral. And your parents are angry with you because you haven't celebrated their birthday. That is Ghana.
Present day Ghana.
That is all. So you are looking at fine things that people have got personally as supposed to be a demonstration of what Ghana is. Captain Smart.
This is sad. Though.
We must wake up. Ghanaians as a people. But you see, the trick is to increase poverty to a level where when you throw crumbs, people will run to collect. So we have made all of us poor and needy. And every day we'll be blaming the white man for poverty when he's in our own house. In our own house. Look, if people don't do anything, go and start reading Kwame Nkrumah books. Please. He warned us from the 50s into the 60s what we were dealing with. Go, and if you don't do anything, you're like, go and take 2-3 Kwame Nkrumah books and read. And then read it again. You will learn. Nothing that is happening is new. It was predicted and said by a man who was a sitting president at the time when he was writing. Please, Captain Smart, we have a problem. The first way of dealing with the problem is to, first of all, you, Nanado, you promised us that when you come, all these things will happen. You wanted a chance. We have given you a chance, 8 years, MPP with you. I was on a program not too long ago. Now, even MPP people are trying to say that Nanado is president of Ghana. So when he speaks, he doesn't speak for MPP. So MPP, MPP is disowning the man who they are disowning him. And in that vein, also disowning Baumia. So now they are presidents or vice president. So they are not speaking or not on the ticket of MPP. When this happened, I told the president, oh, now I know that we have won election. Because if it has reached the point where your own people are disowning you.
You said you told the president that now you have won the election.
No, I told the person who was the MPP commentator that, oh, this is your statement. It has now buttressed my view that NDC can win this or has won the election. Because if it has got to the point where you are now disowning the one that you said was come to be our Messiah. So I'm clear in my mind, Captain. Let the MPP as a party and as a government step aside.
So what new things are you going to do? That's what I want to hear.
Captain Smart.
Yes, sir.
The first point I make is that it is not time for us to tell Ghanaians what we will do or not do, because we are very clear in our mind that the MPP has run out of ideas completely. If you speak too early, they will go and implement it and tell you that it was their idea. They did it to us before. We know. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, no matter what we want to say or do, we must be very clear in our mind what the extent of the rot is. Because I'm not sure that we have the full picture. So we'll come out with a manifesto. We'll tell Ghanaians what we want to do and how we are going to do it. But we must always have in the back of our mind, that the things that we are going to meet may be far worse than we think they are. It's not by mistake that the World Bank has said that somebody should come and sit with us and the IMF in our Bank of Ghana and also with the Finance Ministry for them to actually get a proper picture of what is happening. If they knew the full picture, why would they send people in? So they themselves appear to have question marks about what is being done and decisions that are made. So that is the next point. The next issue is that we cannot do very much till we stabilize. We must stabilize. At the moment, we are at sea. 1 minute, the exchange rate is like it's going down. Then all of a sudden, boom. The next minute, everything is a mess. We cannot borrow any money. We are bankrupt. We have declared ourselves bankrupt. You have exhausted all your borrowings in the internal market, in Ghana itself. And you can't go outside and borrow money. And your revenue is dropping in terms of rate of increase. So you're in a bad place. So you have decided to tax people more. And the people are telling you that you are taxed to the hilt. Your companies are, so if you tax us anymore, some of us are going to collapse. Therefore, your revenue you are getting from tax will also drop because we cannot work. And people will now start looking for means of evading the tax anyway, because they don't want their companies to collapse. So the way is to cut. So much is happening. And all they are thinking about, not to solve our problems, is breaking the eight. That's all they are thinking about. Breaking the eight.
And you will not allow them to break the eight?
Ghanaians won't allow them. Forget me. Or NDC.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time this morning.
Thank you, Captain
Honorable
Smart.
Alex Segbefia, the former Deputy Minister of Defense and former Deputy Chief of Staff and the former Minister of Health. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Apraketo ahia kesia na wabobo. Mene esrem sei jata mi wo wura. Mabasa me ba be fa me dibre. Mo kasa, mo bisa, mo ye hu dede. Atadwe ya tede. Enti ye krado, dwumadi a mo ye hu dede ahwe ni mu ache no. Ya to ni din say, Onua Showtime with me na now McBrown. Misha mo bo say, ye be sua de. Na ye diagro, ya pensen mu. Wo Onua Showtime dwumadi so no. Meni mo betutu akwa akobabi a woni hunda. Akobabi a onansi da. Afei ye be din komo amenwa sepeyen. Onua Showtime dwumadi ye de bro fiada ene kwasiada nwumre bia. Efiada ye be din komo afa asetnem ni abrabo mu. Na kwasiada de ene je nko a. Say yenyo asa ene je mu nkomo ana abrabo ni asetnem nsem. Onua Showtime so de obia benya ne de. Cheers. I'm already say what do we feed you no ebeto Onua TV. Now I share Onua Showtime. Onua Showtime. Ye de bro fiada ene kwasiada nwumre bia. Everything on so ekopim no nkono. Onua Showtime. Ye dwene wani die.
Onua Showtime with McBrown. Yes, Shasie. Kwesiada, 30th April. Ewo Onua TV so. Numeko maso ya sing. Eye High Sense, Bell Park, Heaven Saints.
Onua TV. Ye dwene ho pa.
My Ghana see a penny. My Ghana do akono. Why na dwe Ghana ho? Why na ebo Ghana akoma ho ban? Sia osomfo. Duana ba Kofi Asante ni. Emfie nudu ani ya sori ahomanache. Awen Ghana akoma. Ebradu sɛ yɛhyia wɔ anwummerɛ biara nɔnso ekosi nɔnkron adwoada kosi ya wada bia dwumadie yi akwanya wom sɛ yɛbɛ address the president Mr. President mpanimfo a yɛde tumi ahyɛ wɔn nsa nso ɛno wɔn bɛtena ase na wabu akonta ɛde ama yɛn ɛno nti yɛde bu akonta dwumadie ɛbɛbrɛw hyia me ɛwɔ akoma 87.9 FM ayɛmfa Ghana akoma dwumadie mbrɛw ɛbrɛ a yɛbɔ Ghana akoma ho ban Ghana akoma 87.9 FM odai akoma so
kere ba daga me se wa betumi atwene ma no wa dwen na ne se wo be se me ne ma nyesa
mempew ade machi wo mempew kro bo bia ni se wo sa hawo ase me na wo ka no wo sa hawo ko bi se be ya adwuma e dis ka be fi me am gina he ene wo na chi